I noticed before Trump was president-elect, he was angling for this Iran conflict in such a way. And what I say is that out of the blue, he said that Iran was trying to assassinate him. And then when they asked him about it, he said, well, he had no credible evidence. It was just a hunch, and somebody and the intelligence agencies told him that. And I noticed that right after that, it was brought up again right before the election. And then today, on RT, they're reporting that the U.S. is now accusing Iran. They have arrested a few people, and they're accusing Iran of trying to assassinate Donald Trump. Now, U.S. accuses Iran of plotting to kill Trump. An Iranian national has been charged with murder for hire. An Iranian national and 2 Americans have been charged with involvement in a murder for hire plot to assassinate President-elect Donald Trump, as well as an Iranian dissident, the U.S. Department of Justice has announced. Now, that's eerily similar to all of the accusations when Biden came in about Russia's belligerence and Russia involvement in trying to dictate U.S. policy. Are we seeing a repeat of a justification to go to war with Iran?
Well, so, the Republican and Democrats are basically two faces of the war party, but sometimes their priorities are different, right? I mean, even during the election, Trump and the Republicans, they want to wind down on Ukraine, and they want to concentrate the resources on confronting China. Whereas the Democrat want to stay the course, fully committed in Ukraine, etc. But where they do not differ is the Middle East. Both the Democrats and the Republicans, they're fully on the side of Netanyahu in supporting Israel committing atrocity in the Middle East. And one of the big targets for Israel is Iran. Netanyahu said this before. He wanted to take out Syria. He wanted to take out Iraq. He wanted to take out Iran. He believes these are existential threat for existence of Israel. And that's exactly what happened with the Iraq war. United States took out Saddam. And then under Obama, the largest CIA operation, Timber Sycamore, to support jihadists to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. Iran is the last man standing. And I think the U.S. is going to, Iran is going to be in the crosshair no matter what. Because in going after Iran, the U.S. interests and Israel's interests are fully aligned. They want to further destabilize the region because U.S. wants to prove itself as the provider of security, ironically, in the Middle East. I mean, that's how U.S. positioned itself to a lot of the wealthy Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Qatar, etc. U.S. The Fifth Fleet, it's based in Qatar, and U.S. Value proposition for these wealthy monarchies is that, hey, we are the only ones with a military with a will to stay and be guarantor of peace. By being guarantor of the peace, meaning we're not going to blow you up if you continue to invest in U.S. dollars, in U.S. treasuries, and U.S. stock market. Because, we have been talking about the dollarization. Saudi has been flirting with dropping petrodollars, switching to petro yuan. And that's a no-no. I mean, U.S. financial domination is one of the strongest pillars of U.S. hegemony right now, and that rests on the dollar hegemony. The U.S. will never allow a disappearance of petrodollars. So this is by stirring up tension with Iran, by supporting Israel to destabilize the Middle East, U.S. is positioning itself like, hey, we look at what kind of trouble we can create for you if you go against me. This is like the mafia mentality. I mean, if you think of a U.S. as a mob, it makes perfect sense. It's like, look at what kind of havoc we can bring to this region if you don't do what I say. And especially U.S. didn't like this China brokered Saudi-Iran deal, because that would have bring peace to the region. And the last thing the United States want is peace. The U.S. goal right now is to light fire all around the globe, in Europe, in Middle East, and possibly in East Asia. So U.S. homeland, the United States appear to be this calm, this oasis of calm amidst of all the world light on fire. So all the foreign money, foreign capital will continually be invested in United States asset, in U.S. So real estate, U.S. Stock market, U.S. treasuries, to boost the U.S. economy. And I think I just saw a statistic earlier today that says the U.S. GDP, which we know is like overinflated, but U.S. GDP composed about 20% of the world GDP. But the U.S. stock market composed of 60% of the U.S. Capital market. So all the money is in the U.S. invested. That's how U.S. government want, and the way to ensure that they're trying to blow up everywhere else to destabilize all across the world. So you have no choice. All these wealthy oil sheiks in the Gulf, you have no choice but park your money in U.S. Don't even think about trading for RMB for Chinese money, because we can get you. We can get you. I think this is a basic U.S. strategy in the Middle East right now. So they have a very vested interest to at least keep the tension with Iran, if not outright going to war.
I'm going to play a clip I played on the last show that has, it's almost like you and Medvedev were thinking the same thoughts about how the United States creates chaos. But before I do that, I was thinking about the situation of the assassination, the allegations. And for those who may say, well, this is the deep state trying to force Trump to confront Iran, that may have had a little credence, but Trump was saying this before the election. So for him to double back down on it and this to happen, this can't just be that. It has to be a little bit more than that, especially with the huge buildup of troops, the huge buildup of warplanes and warships in the whole region, and the threats from the United States, even to Iraq. The United States demands that Iraq not allow its airspace and its territory for a retaliatory strike by Iran on Israel, but the United States cleared a corridor for Israel to launch strikes on Iran. This cannot go on forever, and this is what Medvedev had to say about the situation here.
Americans always try to rule by creating crises on the planet. This was the case, well, at least in the 20th century, and it continues that way in the 21st. When the Soviet Union collapsed, America felt that it had no equal at all after the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact. So the more crises they create, the better they think the situation is for America. Well, they've created a crisis with these sanctions. What happens? It's all very simple. The Americans make money. America, as always, feels good. It makes money from weapons supplies and by allocating money to its defense industry. Sure enough, some of that money gets stolen in Ukraine or somewhere else. Still, though, it means that the defense industry and a lot of other economic mechanisms in the United States continue to work. Moreover, a lot of businesses have been persuaded to move over to the United States from Europe, where it has become unprofitable to work. That is, the Americans are getting what they want at the price of more blood and casualties. This is why Americans are engaging in feeding the war. But that system is coming to an end. That's why they feel the world is falling out from under their feet, and they're resisting it in every way possible. You've mentioned BRICS here, and there's also the SCO, as well as other regional unions. There are Asian unions that are very important in today's world and where America has no say at all. It is seen as hostile there, even though those unions were not originally created as anti-American. In fact, I find the idea of the global South and these kind of unions very promising. Why? The Americans and their satellites keep saying, you are violating the rule-based order. But when you ask them what that order is, and I've deliberately picked through legal text, studied them, it's incomprehensible. It's not clear what the order is and who approved it. It's really just an idea of the United States and its allies, well, mostly in NATO, of how best to do business in the world. So it's not a written document, not an international convention, it's not a UN act or any other act, it's not the UN Charter, it's just something, an order that they think is right. And once you're out of this order, you're a perpetrator. Of course, this is a very unstable system that is bound to collapse sooner or later. And those inside that system will suffer the most from its collapse. I'm absolutely sure about that.
So it seems like you, me, and Medvedev were on the same wavelengths on this. What do you have to say about that clip there?
I mean, I love Medvedev. He says all kind of things that Putin maybe can't say in public, right? but he just says all those things that's inconvenient, all the inconvenient truth that you can't say in diplomatic circles. But I mean, where's the lie? Where's the lie? That's exactly how U.S. behave. What rule-based international order? Where are those rules? Who write them? Who writes the rule-based international order? I mean, right now, U.S. is destroying all the international forum, international institution that United States itself helped to build after World War II. Because now they realize, you know what, this is not working for me, guys. So I'm washing my hands of this. And this starting from UN to like right now, especially with the Trump election. I mean, like the Biden at least play lip service to kind of international cooperation. Like Trump's like, no. You all have to pay. You all have to pay. So it will be interesting to see what one thing I like about Trump winning is because Trump is a wild card, so he throw the wrench into the well-oiled deep state machine. Even though I think in the end deep state will win, but there's going to be a momentary chaos. Everything is going to try to figure out where they fit into this picture. I don't think fundamentally the U.S. foreign policy is going to change. I'm with John Mearsheimer on this one because the deep state is still in charge, folks. Yes. Trump says he's gonna drain the swamp, clean slate. That's not gonna happen. We saw what happened with the first Trump term. The deep state defeated Trump. He came to power claiming he's for peace, non-interventionist policy. I mean, granted, he didn't start any new wars, but he just continued all the old wars, including bombing Syria. And I still remember on CNN the CNN anchor, I don't know if what's his name? He was like getting all emotional when the U.S. launched cruise missile to strike Syria, and he was like, "Wow, that's the most presidential moment I felt for Trump." This is kind of the bloodthirsty U.S. establishment. They want war, and Trump is not going to win on this one. And I don't think he will even try to fight the deep state. He came to power, promising peace. He said he will end Ukraine war within 24 hours. I don't know if they're gonna. That means 24 hours from the time he won the election. I mean, it's already been 24 hours, or whether by the time he take office. But I don't think that's gonna happen. There's no way the entrenched NATO bureaucracy will allow any deviation from the script. And that said, there's a lot of panicking right now in the European capitals, in Japan, Korea, Australia, all the U.S. vassal states, because the difference between Trump and Biden is that Biden is like, okay, let's build coalition, let's rally our troops, rally our vassal states together so we can form this alliance to confront Russia, China, and Iran. Whereas Trump is like, all right, y'all all have to pay. Every one of you have to pay for the U.S. empire. Some country like Japan, I believe they will probably pay up because Japan already paid for the majority of the U.S. occupation of Japan. So what's another 30% for them? But and I think the same thing is going to happen for Europe too. they're all like they all have no backbones. All the European leaders, in the end, they're all gonna come back and grovel to Trump. Like, we're sorry we said bad things about you, but please let us sit back in. We're your loyal vassals. But in the end, it's a deep state that's still going to be in charge. Then it's just going to be a replay of Trump term number one. I don't hold great hope for drastic change in the U.S. foreign policy. I think that's in the hands of the professionals, right? And the Pentagon will definitely be driving, in the driving seat. Remember, in the first term, Trump heavily depended on a portion of the Pentagon, of the people in the military. I think that will continue to happen because, like, Trump, he doesn't have people. He doesn't have like at the end of the day, he doesn't have people he can rely on. The only people he can find is the same people in the establishment. So nothing is going to change.